Welcome to another deep dive. We've got some fascinating writings for you from Shri, Suresh, Kumar, Makam.
Yeah, his work really dives deep into some thought-provoking philosophy.
Definitely. And you know what's interesting is he offers this disclaimer right at the beginning.
Oh yeah, what's that?
He says, cleanse your manas mind with practice of satana, and then go through literature. Otherwise, reality will be lost upon you.
Hmm. It's like he's saying, get your mind ready, this stuff's intense.
Yeah, exactly. Prep work is needed for sure.
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, let's jump into one of the core concepts. Shri Suresh emphasizes the world as illusion.
Right, not quite what it seems.
Yeah, he really drives this point home with some vivid imagery, too. It's not just a dry philosophical statement.
Oh, for sure. Like
Yeah.
he compares the world to a mirage, a dream, a reflection in a mirror.
I like that.
Even a city built in a king's imagination.
Oh, wow, I remember that one.
Emphasizing that impermanence. Like, don't get too attached, it's fleeting and ultimately empty.
Yeah, it really makes you question everything you think you know. Like, if the world is an illusion, then who am I? What is this self-experiencing all this?
Well, that takes us right into the next concept, the nature of the self, what Shri Suresh calls the Atman.
Okay, so if we're not our bodies and the world is an illusion, then who are we? What is this Atman?
He describes it as our eternal essence, a spark of the divine,
Okay.
which he calls Brahman. It's pure consciousness beyond the limitations of the physical world and the ego.
So there's a part of us that's unchanging and eternal, even though everything around us, even our bodies, are constantly in flux.
That's the essence of his argument. And to illustrate this, he tells the captivating story of Shukra.
Oh yeah, this story was amazing. He goes through all these reincarnations, incredible highs and lows.
All before finally achieving self-realization.
Yeah, you know what stood out to me? How he gets completely absorbed in a paradise he creates in his own mind,
Yeah.
mistaking his imagination for reality.
Really shows the power of our minds.
Right. And how easily we can get lost in our own thoughts and perceptions.
Definitely a cautionary tale there.
Suresh.
It highlights that cycle of birth and death driven by desire that Shri Suresh says keeps us trapped.
In the illusion.
Exactly. Shukra's journey underscores how we can be both the creators and prisoners of our own mental worlds.
Right.
And that leads us to the role of the mind.
Oh yeah. If the mind is creating this illusion, then understanding and mastering it is crucial to breaking free.
It is. Shri Suresh identifies the mind as the architect of our reality, for better or worse.
Interesting.
It can trap us in suffering or lead us to liberation, depending on how we use it, like a powerful tool that needs training and discipline.
He talks a lot about sadhana, right?
Yeah.
What exactly is that, and how does it relate to mastering the mind? Is it about shutting down our minds completely?
Not at all. It's a practice of mental discipline,
Right.
involving techniques like meditation, self-control, ethical conduct.
So not erasing the mind.
No, but training it to see through the illusion.
To detach from fleeting desires.
Exactly, and to recognize our true nature as the Atman.
I see. So it's more about transforming the mind than eliminating it.
Right.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these pieces fit together. The world is illusion, the Atman, the role of the mind, and Satana. They all point to shifting our perspective, seeing ourselves and the world differently. But how do we actually do that? Move from intellectual understanding to actually experiencing it.
That's where Shri Suresh's practical guidance comes in.
Okay, so he doesn't just present these concepts, he gives us ways to apply them.
He does.
Great, so what specific steps does he suggest on this path?
Well, one thing he talks about is cultivating what he calls Shidamanas.
Shudamanas.
Yeah, or pure mind. And that's where sadhana comes in.
Okay, so more than just a concept.
Exactly. Actively engaging in practices to purify and refine our mental processes.
So it's not enough to just understand these ideas intellectually. We have to actively work with our minds.
Yeah, we do. But how? What does that look like in practice?
Right, like does everyone have to become a monk and meditate in a cave?
No, not at all. He emphasizes practices like meditation,
Okay.
but presents them as tools anyone can use, like focusing on the breath, contemplation of sacred mantras,
Interesting.
developing a detached awareness of our thoughts
Like that.
as ways to, calm the fluctuations of the mind.
So training ourselves to not get swept away by every thought or emotion.
Right.
But earlier we talked about how the mind creates our reality. If we calm it completely, do we stop experiencing the world?
That's a great question.
Because that doesn't sound appealing or practical.
Not at all. Shri Suresh isn't advocating for shutting down the mind or becoming indifferent.
Okay.
He uses the analogy of a lake.
Okay.
When the surface is still, you can see clearly to the bottom, but when the waves are churning, the reflection is distorted.
Yeah.
The mind is like that lake.
Gotcha.
Sadhana helps calm those waves so we can see reality more clearly.
So finding clarity, not escaping experience.
Yes.
But if we're not supposed to shut down our minds, how do we live in this world with all its distractions and desires without getting caught up in the illusion?
We remember the story of Shukra.
Oh, yeah. Creating a paradise in his mind.
Shri Suresh uses that to illustrate the dangers of becoming absorbed in our mental creations.
Right. He mistook his imagination for reality and suffered because of it.
Yeah.
So how do we avoid that? How do we live and act without getting completely entangled?
He talks about cultivating Sakshibhava,
That's
the attitude of witnessing, becoming an observer of our thoughts, emotions, experiences without getting swept away.
So like watching a movie,
Yeah,
you can get engrossed or just watch it unfold without getting attached to the characters or plot.
exactly.
That's helpful. Creating distance between ourselves and our experiences.
Right.
But that seems hard. Our thoughts and emotions feel so real and personal.
It does take time and effort.
Yeah.
But Shri Suresh offers some practical advice.
Okay, like what?
Well, he talks about viveka, or discernment. It involves questioning our assumptions, examining our beliefs, seeing things from multiple perspectives.
Like taking a step back
Right.
instead of blindly reacting to every thought and emotion.
Yeah, we pause, ask ourselves, is this thought really true? Is this belief serving me?
So developing critical awareness of our own mental processes?
Exactly, taking back control instead of letting them control us.
I see. So along with Viveka, he also emphasizes Vairagya.
Right, which means detachment.
Detached.
Loosening our grip on attachments to
Yeah.
things, outcomes, desires.
Not giving up everything we enjoy, though, right?
No, shifting our relationship to those things.
Okay.
Recognizing their impermanent nature.
Right, not letting our happiness depend entirely on them.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But it's challenging in a world that bombards us with things to desire.
It is a continual process.
Yeah.
Shri Suresh suggests starting small. Become aware of your attachments to possessions, status, approval.
Okay.
Then start to loosen your grip little by little.
Like decluttering your mind.
Exactly.
I like that analogy.
So we've talked about sadhana for calming the mind. Then viveka and vairagya, which are about changing our relationship to thoughts and emotions.
Right. It feels like a lot to juggle.
They're all interconnected parts of the path to liberation.
Okay.
A holistic approach
Yeah.
to spiritual growth,
Yeah.
transforming not just our minds, but our whole way of being in the world.
So it's not just about meditation or intellectual understanding. It's about changing our whole perspective on life.
Right.
But what does that actually look like? What does a liberated life actually look like?
It's a great question, and one Shri Suresh addresses.
Good.
He offers guidance on how to apply these principles in our relationships, work, interactions.
Okay, that's what I was hoping for. Some concrete examples.
Yeah.
What does he suggest? I'm really curious to know how this all plays out in the real world.
He describes the liberated individual as someone who is free from attachment, aversion, fear, and delusion. They act in the world with wisdom and compassion, but aren't bound by the outcomes of their actions.
Right.
Like, imagine facing any situation,
Right.
from the smallest annoyance to the biggest life challenge, and being able to respond with clarity and peace
Wow.
and a deep sense of inner freedom.
That sounds incredible,
It really does.
but also incredibly difficult to achieve.
It's definitely a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, we're carrying around so much baggage, right?
They are.
Our past experiences, fears, desires.
Yeah.
How do we let go of all that?
Well, Shri Suresh acknowledges it requires effort and commitment.
Okay.
He stresses consistent practice, self-reflection, and the guidance of a wise teacher. He talks a lot about the role of a guru,
A guru.
someone who can point out our blind spots
Okay.
and support us.
So we need both inner work and outer guidance.
We do.
But ultimately, the responsibility lies with us.
Yes, no one can achieve liberation for us.
Right.
He uses a powerful analogy.
I love his analogies.
Gold being purified in a fire.
Mhm.
Each time it goes through, the impurities are burned away, it becomes more pure.
Right.
Our journey towards liberation is like that, a gradual process of purification and refinement.
So we uncover our true nature layer by layer through consistent effort.
Exactly.
And as we do that, let go of limiting beliefs, we experience more freedom,
We do.
joy, peace in our lives.
Regardless of our external circumstances.
It makes sense in theory, but how does it translate to real-world situations? How does a liberated person act differently in their relationships? At work, just interacting with the world.
He offers practical guidance for applying these principles in all areas of life.
Okay, good.
In relationships, he emphasizes compassion, understanding, even when dealing with difficult people, recognizing that everyone is on their own journey,
Right.
choosing to respond with kindness and patience.
So seeing the divine spark, the Atman, in everyone,
Yes.
even those who challenge us,
Exactly.
and in the realm of work.
He encourages us to find purpose and meaning in what we do,
Okay,
to see our work as an opportunity to serve others,
I like that.
contribute to the greater good, shifting our focus from personal gain to selfless service.
So instead of being driven by ambition or recognition, a liberated person works from a place of service and contribution,
Yes.
and just interacting with the world in general.
He highlights living ethically,
Okay.
acting with integrity, making choices that align with our highest values.
That's important.
It's about walking our talk,
Right.
contributing to a more harmonious world through our actions.
Wow, this has been fascinating. Such a thought-provoking deep dive into the world of Shri Suresh and his teachings.
It has been.
As we wrap up, what key takeaway would you leave our listener with?
For me, it's that liberation is not some distant goal.
Okay.
It's a present possibility, a state of being we can cultivate here and now
Right.
through consistent effort, self-reflection, and a willingness to see the world in a new way.
Beautifully said. It's about recognizing that the power to transform our lives and experience true freedom lies within us. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of Shri Suresh's teachings. We hope it's inspired you to embark on your own journey of self-discovery and liberation. And here's one last thought for you to ponder. Shri Suresh asks if the world is an illusion. If it is, what does that mean for our actions,
Right.
our choices? Does it make them less important, or does it empower us to create something more meaningful, more compassionate?
That is the question.
Something to contemplate as you continue your own deep dive into the nature of the self and the world around you. Thanks for listening.